All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. My favorite guy in the Niner draft was Jacob Cowing. And I heard Greg Cosell on with Doug Farrar on his podcast talking about Jacob Cowing. So we're going to let you hear some of that, and then we'll react to it. But first, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville and Corte Madera, and they're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle. Go get the brisket. Go get the brisket chili. Go say hi to Damon and Mary and tell them that Larry Krueger sent you. You're going to love it. You're absolutely going to love Pig and a Pickle, thanks to them. All right, let's talk a little bit about my favorite Niner draft pick, Jacob Cowing. And before I go gushing on Cowing, our favorite guy, Greg Cosell, went on with Doug Farrar and talked a little bit about Cowing. And, you know, it's funny, Cowing's an interesting guy. And Greg had scouted him for 3 years because he thought he was coming out of UTEP a couple years ago, and then he transferred to Arizona. And, there's no question that you're talking about a guy who is a really, really productive football player, both at UTEP and at Arizona. He's got great vertical ability. The Niners have not been, they tried for Danny Gray a couple years ago. It hasn't worked out. They're looking for that vertical threat to create space. And they feel like they have it in Jacob Cowing. So let's hear Cosell with Doug Farrar talking about Jacob Cowing, and then we'll talk about him as well. But here is Greg Cosell on the newest 49er wide receiver, Jacob Cowing from the University of Arizona.
Let's get to Jacob Cowing. I was kind of glad you mentioned him. I've watched Jacob Cowing, believe it or not, for 3 years in a row because I thought he might come out. In 2021, he was at UTEP and he transferred to Arizona. And when he was at UTEP, he was used totally differently than he was at Arizona. At Arizona, he became kind of a short to intermediate receiver who every once in a while might run vertically. When he was at UTEP, he was a vertical dimension, and he ran a 4.38 40. And this guy can run. I mean, he's got natural quickness as a route runner. He runs precise routes. But like I said, when he was at UTEP, he was a vertical player. Even though, he's 5'8 3/4, I think we saw what Tank Dell did a year ago with the Houston Texans. Cowing probably has more vertical speed. Dell's probably just more explosive laterally, although Cowing's still pretty good in that regard. But I'm really curious to see him because he can run. And that's the Niners don't truly have that guy. I mean, Ayuk is not slow, but, they don't have a true vertical dimension. So it'll be interesting to see how they see him. Now he'll probably end up being a return man with the new rules, but he was really interesting to me because I watched his 2021 tape from UTEP a couple of summers ago, but I remembered it really well. And he was a vertical guy.
I'm watching the 35-yard touchdown against Oklahoma right now where he ran that seam route and just against quarters and scalded everybody. We're going to put that play up. Yeah,
I think I know the play you're talking about.
He's an exciting guy. So let's say they keep Debo and Ayuk, and now they have these two guys, and Jawan Jennings is a sort of late career Anquan Bolden who can just Godzilla every cornerback. And it's like, wow, that passing game all of a sudden, goodness.
All right, there's Greg Cosell talking about the wide receiver the Niners took out of Arizona with pick number 135. Jacob Cowing from the University of Arizona. So let's talk a little bit about Cowing, who's been working out this offseason with Ricky Pearsall in Arizona. He's a 5'8", 163-pound wide receiver. So he's very small, but he ran 4.38. And when you watch him on the field, he's maybe even field faster than 4.38. He had a 1.52 10-yard split. So think about how fast Brock Purdy is and how quick he is escaping rushers. He ran like a 1.54 or 1.55 10-yard split. Cowing's 1.52. So he's even quicker than Purdy, and Purdy's really, really quick. Then he ran in the 4.3s, and as I said, he ran 4.38, but he plays faster. He really plays faster than that. He was born and raised in Arizona. His dad starred in high school at Long Beach Poly down in Southern Cal, one of the great powerhouse high school programs in the state of California. He went to Maricopa High School in Arizona. He played wide receiver, running back, cornerback, kick returner. He also played basketball. He ran track. He set school records for the 100 meters and the 200 meters, but was only a 2-star high school recruit and didn't get a lot of FBS offers. In fact, his lone offer from an FBS school came from UTEP. So he went to UTEP. He went to El Paso, and then he led UTEP in receiving in 3 years in a row. And, this kid grew up. I mean, he grew up as a player. He grew up as a man. In college, he became a dad as a college freshman at the age of 18. He's got a son named Chase, who, believe it or not, is named after the former ASU cornerback and the current Niner, Chase Lucas. So that's interesting. Those guys obviously either are related or have some kind of relationship or friendship that goes way, way back, because he named his son Chase after Chase Lucas. And now here they are both with the Niners in camp. And he had a son born in 2019. He transferred from UTEP to Arizona because his son was living with his mother in, I think, Chandler, Arizona. So he wanted to be close to his son. So that's a cool thing. And Jed Fish brought him to Arizona, and this is a great guy. I mean, this guy he got an NIL deal that surrounds the Boys and Girls Clubs and made a donation there. He was the offensive MVP of the bowl game. In the pros, he's probably a slot wide receiver. He's explosive, really explosive on the field, and you can see it. He's got track speed, and it translates. He's not a big guy, but he's a try-hard blocker. He also was Arizona's punt returner this year. So you're talking about a guy who has great measurables in that he's got, great speed, and yet he also had great production. So when you have, to me, when you have that combo of great collegiate production and great athletic traits, you're in that. When you have that intersection of those two traits, I want you on my team. I want guys who can play the sport, who are productive in college, who are great athletes. And sure enough, the Niners identified this guy. He had 13 touchdowns this year with Arizona. He was the only FBS player in the country with 85 receptions in each of the last 2 seasons. How about that? Led Arizona to a 10-win season. He's the only FBS player with 90 receptions this year and at least 12 touchdowns. So the production was as good as anybody in college football. Then you flip on the film and you can see this guy can separate on vertical routes against tight man coverage. And then it's time to turn off the film and just say, where are we drafting this guy? It's really it. And, the 4.38, as I said, he plays faster than that. The 1.52 10-yard split, that I think is more in line with what you see. I see kind of a poor man's Tyreek Hill. He's got great ball skills, but he's got explosive traits to separate vertically. So I think this is going to be one of the Niners' best picks. I expect him to step on the field and immediately contribute, and I think he's going to be a really, really good player. So thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. And thanks to the sponsor of this video, one of our newest sponsors, a word from them right now, Aura. Have you ever typed your name on the internet and seen all of your private information is online? Are you tired of receiving tons of spam calls from random numbers? Are you receiving more and more of these as time has gone on? Well, that's where Aura, the sponsor of today's show, can really help you out. Data brokers sell your information to scammers and spammers and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, your email, your home address, all your records, your health records, who your relatives are. It's all out there. That's why I've been using Aura. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it also protects me from hackers who could use the information to help them access my social media accounts, my bank accounts, or any other sensitive information. Aura also does so much more to protect me and my family from online threats I can't see. I get other features like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps. It's really easy to set up. And best of all, I get everything at one affordable price. I value my privacy and I value yours. You can go to the link in the description to start your 2-week free trial. And thanks to Aura for sponsoring this video there. And thanks to them for being a sponsor of the Krug Show. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show. Hit like and subscribe. And thanks to all of you. Thanks for watching us on YouTube.